Vanguard S3E5 massacre in McLeod. The camera drones fly over the crowd as the Vanguard theme for this season, Stronger by Through Fire, plays over whatever device you are playing. CWF's Vanguard, Season 3 Episode 5 on tonight. This is the final Vanguard before Shadow Warfare and coming to you from the Midnight Stadium in Fort McLeod, Alberta, Canada. It starts with a brand new logo. And then moves to our announced team of Jessica Carr and Victoria Hill. Jessica Carr, welcome to the CWF's Vanguard, Episode 5 of Season 3. Our final stop before we go to Calgary for Shadow Warfare. Victoria Hill, and we're in the worst place in history of Vanguard. I mean, this is a rodeo stadium of all things. This barely seats any people. People have barely heard of Fort McLeod. This place is famous for a Royal Canadian Mounted Police Museum and a theater that for some reason has the same equipment from 100 years ago that still works. Jessica Carr, hey, it's not quite the show we got to put on in Victoria, British Columbia or Seattle, but it's nice. Victoria Hill, this is an insult to Vanguard. Jessica Carr, come on, let's run down the show here. Victoria Hill, meager stadium aside, we have a hell of a show for you tonight. In our main event, we'll see one half of the CWF Tag Team Champions, and the 4 WW Dyad Champions, Kara Reinhart taking on Steve Murdoch. Jessica Carr, and this is kinda a test after how Kara Reinhart's match ended against Rob Riot last Warzone, when she coughed up blood and had her match stopped. Victoria Hill, and we'll see the #1 contender for the 4 Wins Tempest title determined in a 3-way elimination match between Mad Morales, Lana Hill and Wicked Cat Hale. Jessica Carr, the winner of that match will face Testrual Oni, the 4th, for her newly awarded Tempest Championship on the Vanguard pre-show for Shadow Warfare. Victoria Hill, will also see newcomer Justin Wingate taking on Iowan O'Rourke in one-on-one action tonight. Jessica Carr and Vicky's main man, Monster Mammoth, will be taking on one half of the Carnival of Shadows. The Marquis de Harlequin faces the Hardcore Monster. Victoria Hill, I'm not sure I should say this, but as much as I am a fan of the Carnival, the Marquis de Harlequin is about to be the victim of a stampede of Monster Mammoth. Jessica Carr, but we'll also be seeing the official contract signing of the Iron Man match between Steve Murdoch and Monster Mammoth as well. Victoria Hill, and to start things off, we'll have newcomer Trelisa Perro in her debut match against Agent Orange. Jessica Carr, let's go to the ring. Marcela Sancho, the following contest is scheduled for one fall and is the opening bout of the evening. Featuring first the challenger, hailing from Paris, France, Trelisa Perro. As Handclap by Fitz and the Tantrums hits the arena, it darkens, and neon colors light the stage and ramp. Trelisa moves onto the stage under a spotlight. Trelisa wears a different elaborate designer jacket each time she takes the stage, as well as a pair of sunglasses. Turn it up. As the first words hit, Trelisa takes hold of her sunglasses and casts them off her face. She walks down the ramp, and a spotlight follows her, lighting her way. She moves with all the grace of a model on a walkway. As she walks, she lifts her arms out, and then points them in the direction she's walking. She's like a queen taking to the stage, and the audience is her domain until she reaches the bottom of the ramp. I can make your hands clap. At that, Trelisa her hand and claps along with the song. The audience joins in, and Trelisa begins a slow walk around to the south side of the ring. Climbing onto the apron, she'll sway her hips in a dancer's manner, and she'll take a moment to blow a kiss to a fan in the front row, bringing her index and middle finger to her lips as she does so. Finally, she slips into the ring, spinning with a dancer's flair, before turning and moving back toward the opposite corner. Once more the song announces it can make the audience's hands clap, and they clap along. Every night when the stars come out. Climbing to the second rope, Trelisa gracefully dips, leaning forward and reaching a hand up as if she were stretching her arms to the heavens, with the only light in the arena coming from the spotlight on her and the phones from the audience, their lit phones making it seem like she is surrounded by stars. At last, she climbs down and gets ready for the match. Jessica Carr, another French wrestler, hitting the mat. Victoria Hill, who else is French? Jessica Carr, Elizabeth Devereux O'Rourke and the Marquis de Harlequin are both French. Victoria Hill, oh right. I knew that. Marcela Sancho, and her opponent from Blackpool, England, he is Agent Orange. Twist the Knife, Slowly, by Napalm Death begins playing as Agent Orange walks out from the back to orange fountains of sparks being thrown into the air on either side of him. He raises his arms into the air and roars to the crowd, that gives a mild cheer for him. He makes his way down to the ring, stepping over the top rope and striding over to Trelisa Perot and looking down upon her. She looks up at him with a smile and blows him a kiss. Jessica Carr, Agent Orange, towers over Trelisa Perot. I don't know if I would be quite so arrogant. Victoria Hill, she's just being friendly, probably. As the bell sounds to start the match, Trelisa hits several knife hand chops to the chest of Agent Orange. None of which elicit a reaction from the large man. He brings a fist back to slug her and she ducks under the punch and stomps on Orange's right foot. Agent Orange hops backwards on one foot and Trelisa climbs quickly to the top rope as Agent Orange puts weight on the foot again and looks around to see where she is. She leaps from the top rope, nailing a missile drop kick that sends Agent Orange right to the mat. Agent Orange hops right back up, only to catch a series of roundhouse kicks to the chest that drives him backward to the ropes. Trelisa grabs him and whips him to the ropes, hitting a running crossbody. Momentum takes her right off of him so she doesn't go for the pinfall. Jessica Carr, Trelisa with the offensive right off the bat. Victoria Hill, she will have to go that way or else he'll catch her and crush her. Agent Orange gets right back up to her feet and Trelisa slips behind him and hits a backstabber, bringing them both down to the mat. This time Trelisa considers going for a quick cover, but stops short as Agent Orange gets right back up. She quickly applies a triangle choke, causing referee, Troy Reynolds, to check to see if he will submit. He refuses and then stands up while holding her, breaking the hold. He hits a thunderous power bomb, laying Trelisa out on the mat. Jessica Carr, mistakes were made. Victoria Hill, I'll say. Looks like she slowed down for a moment before being caught by Agent Orange. That was an error. Agent Orange looks down at Trelisa before holding a massive foot over her face with the intention to stomp her. She grabs the foot and twists while striking out at the other knee with a foot to bring the big man down to the mat. She rolls back up to her feet, goes to the ropes, and comes back to the rising Agent Orange, and drop kicks him in the knee to bring him right back down again. Agent Orange quickly gets back to his knees on his way to standing when Trelisa roundhouse kicks him in the face to send him right back to the mat. Jessica Carr, that was a heck of a drop kick. Victoria Hill, yes. She needs to keep things sped up to keep him down. Agent Orange is slow to get back up and is on his knees when Trelisa goes to the ropes again and comes back with a running knee strike to the face. Jessica Carr, curtain call by Trelisa Perot. Victoria Hill, Agent Orange is out on his back. Trelisa goes for the pinfall and Troy Reynolds gets into position for the count. 1, 2, 3. Marcela Sancho, winner of the match via pinfall, Trelisa Perot. Trelisa Perot celebrates her win in the center of the ring while Agent Orange rolls out of the ring and heads to the back. Jessica Carr, Trelisa Perot did it in her debut matchup here on Vanguard. Victoria Hill, an impressive showing by the debuting star. What could be in her future? Jessica Carr, we'll see when it comes to her placement for Shadow Warfare. In the meantime, we need to go to commercial. Lots of bills to pay to put on a pay-per-view. We return to the ring to see Steve Murdoch sitting in an office chair behind a large, wooden table draped in CWF, Shadow Warfare regalia. With him stands Armand von Kraus, holding both the leather-bound contracts for Murdoch's and Mammoth's Iron Man match. Jessica Carr, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on Vanguard, with Armand von Kraus joining us in the ring with Steve Murdoch. We're about to have the contract signing for Murdoch and Monster Mammoth for their Iron Man match at Shadow Warfare. Victoria Hill, let's see some Mammoth. Murdoch's handed a microphone by one of the stagehands and begins. Steve Murdoch, as you can see, folks, I want to make the end of this feud as official as I can. I even got Armand von Kraus to join us for the proceedings, so Mammoth, get out here. Monster Mammoth comes out from backstage, tearing off a propped-up curtain from the walkway. Putting it over his head, covering his eyes, and standing under a purple light on the stage for 15 seconds. He rolls his neck eerily from side to side, before ripping off the curtain and throwing it into the crowd. He points to himself while walking down the ramp, pointing his thumbs at himself and gesturing to his person. With an intimidating expression, he gets close to the barricades on both sides and shakes them with his hands. Mammoth deviates from his usual entrance when he grabs a nearby ringside assistant and rips the microphone from their hands. Monster Mammoth, The only guarantee at the end of this is your casket, Murdoch. Mammoth shouts as he jumps onto the apron, holding down the top rope to climb over. He approaches the official and Steve Murdoch while making sure to stand as tall as possible. Armand von Kraus hands both men their contracts. Murdoch opens the folder up and signs, looking straight into Mammoth's eyes. Steve Murdoch, at Shadow Warfare, you're going to get what you've been needing since you got here, a lesson in humility, a lesson in what it means to be a real wrestler, and not some freak that relies on weapons to get one up their opponents, and oddly enough, I'm gonna teach you that lesson. Monster Mammoth, says the old hardcore hack. Couldn't cut it at your own game. Now you're a has-been. The only reason people even know your name is because you were the first stepping stone on my path to greatness in CWF. Mammoth sneers at Murdoch. Without backing down, he signs the paper and shoves it towards von Kraus. Murdoch leaps up from his seat, hands his contract to von Kraus and goes nose to nose with Monster Mammoth, but drops his microphone and with a smile on his face, rolls out of the ring and walks back up the ramp. Jessica Carr, that went off without much incident. Victoria Hill, yeah, where are the bodies getting put through a table and that? Come on. Jessica Carr, well, we already have Mammoth out here. I'm told we're going to get him against the Marquis de Harlequin next up. The camera just catches Armand von Kraus as he leaves the ring and the match is about to start. Marcela Sancho, the following contest is set for one fall. Already in the ring, from Detroit, Michigan. Weighing in at 357 pounds. He is the peak of freak. Monster Mammoth. As Monster Mammoth is already in the ring, he goes over to one side, climbs to the second turnbuckle and raises his fists into the air. He lavishes in the boos the crowd think he deserves. Jessica Carr, the Monster Mammoth taking on one of Armin's people tonight. Should be good. Victoria Hill, unrestrained violence against careful madness. Yap, should be good. Danse Macabre by Camille Saint-Saëns. Marquis de Harlequin enters with a Baroque-themed orchestral overture. The arena dims to near darkness, save for a spotlight that follows him, casting large, distorted shadows. He weaves through the shadows, his movements both graceful and eerie. As he approaches the ring, he produces phantom flames in his hands, tossing them into the air where they transform into a flock of doves that scatter into the arena. Upon reaching the ring, he takes a dramatic bow, a sly smirk playing across his lips, as the lights suddenly return to full brightness. Marcela Sancho, and his opponent. From Paris, France. Weighing in at 240 pounds. He is the Grand Illusionist. The Marquis de Harlequin. Jessica Carr, the Marquis won his last match. Think he can win tonight? Victoria Hill, it's within the realm of possibility, yes. Both men are in the ring. The referee makes the call. The timekeeper doesn't waste a second. Ding! 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 Marquis moves first. Coming in with an ADA. Freak on a leash, big boot to running opponent. No. Marquis drops low, sliding under both the boot and the follow-up leg drop, leaving the monster in a very uncomfortable position. Wasting no time with the follow-up, the Harlequin grabs the Mammoth, looking to end the match early with Illusionist's bind, octopus hold. Mammoth realizes the danger, he pushes himself to his feet. His freakish strength carrying all the Marquis' 240-pound weight and ramming it into the corner with a furious charge before the hold can be locked in. The impact stuns the Marquis and Mammoth grabs him, looking for freaking you, Fireman's Carry Spinebuster, dash. Tornado DDT counter from the Marquis. The move spikes the monster on his dome. He falls onto his back, rolling until he is in a seated position on the mat. Stunned and trying to shake off the cobwebs. The Marquis smiles beneath his mask, backing into the corner. He gives a bow with a flourish to an uncertain reaction before coming in with a punishing soccer key dash. The monster catches his leg. Breath play, chokeslam. No. Marquis uses his free leg to kick the monster in the knee, hobbling his opponent and breaking free. He hits the ropes, coming in for a running dropkey. Discus clothesline sends the Marquis tumbling through the air. Many fans gasp in shock at the sudden speed and power of that clothesline. The mammoth takes a second to check the knee that got kicked, and the wily Marquis is now trying to use those few seconds to powder on instinct alone. Still wondering to himself what the freak just hit him. Of course. Said freak isn't letting him get away so easily. Jessica Carr, what a clothesline. Victoria Hill, my man is getting his licks in. He grabs Marquis by the tight, pulls him away from the ropes, pulling him onto his feet to inflict more punish him. A desperation back elbow from Marquis catches the monster on the bridge of his nose. That stunned him. Follow up. Super kick on the button. The monster goes down like a redwood tree and the Marquis follows through into a cover. 1. T wasn't nearly enough to put the monster down. There's a flash of fear on the Marquis face. He knows that probably wasn't enough to win, but it should have done more than that. No. No. This is not the time to lose one's cool. He just has to be smart. Stick to the plan. He grabs the monster's wrist, looking for illusionists bind a guy. The monster explodes to his feet. Short arm clothesly dash. No. The Marquis saw that one coming. He ducks under, trying to hit the ropes, only for a sudden tug to make him realize that the monster had just reversed wrist control. The Marquis is pulled back into a second clothesline. The Marquis drops to the mat, lying there winded and stunned. It's about to get worse. There's a cry of pain from the Marquis as the monster begins to walk over his back, taking the time to make his opponent feel each and every step. Jessica Carr, well, your man is a brute. Look at that. Victoria Hill, I know, right? He's just walking all over the Marquis. With a cruel smirk, the mammoth lines up an elbow drop. Elbow dro, the Marquis rolls out the way. All that weight drives the monster's own elbow into the mat. That's it. That's his chance. Spurred by this sudden opening, the Marquis grabs the wounded arm, trying to lock in a Fujiwara armbar on the mat. But wounded as he is, the monster still has size and strength on his side, and he is able to use that to roll the Fujiwara into a schoolboy pin on the mat. He's not looking for a pin though as he pulls Marquis' entire body weight off the mat, looking for a powerbomb. No. Too much pressure on the wounded arm, the monster looses his grip. The Marquis takes him down with a Hurricane Rana, chaining it into an armbar on the mat. Some fans are beginning to cheer for the Marquis' quick thinking and agility. This might actually do it. He's trying to get full extension on the hold. Mammoth is using his height to try and reach for the ropes with his legs. He got it. The referee starts the count, but the Marquis refuses to let go. 1. 2. The Marquis didn't get where he was by being a stickler for the rules though as he continues to try and hyperextend the arm. Some fans boo this conduct, others are more on the Marquis side, given his opponent. 3. 4. Well, now he has no choice. He has to release. He lets the mammoth out who actually looks vulnerable for the first time in this match, stumbling into the corner, nursing his damaged arm. The Marquis looks to keep the pressure on. Handspring elbow. No. The mammoth gets his hands up to block the impact and uses his enormous strength to shove the Marquis forward, literally sending him flying, but the Marquis converts the momentum into a roll to avoid impact on his face while the mammoth laments again, putting strain on his wounded arm. Running knee from the Marca. The monster suddenly springs out the corner with a middle rope crossbody. No. The Marquis actually slides under the enormous flying mammoth like something out of the Matrix. As the monster's titanic form crashes to the mat, the Marquis de Harlequin springs to his feet. Onto the second rope. The top rope. Jessica Carr, the Marquis to the top rope for something powerful. Victoria Hill, mammoth in trouble now. Triple jump moonsault dash. The mammoth caught him out of the air with his good arm. Another gasp at the power of the mammoth. He tries to flip Marquis over into peak seat, razor's edge, position, but he can't quite get his wrist with the wounded arm, and that lets the Marquis counter with an arm drag. The monster is down. The Marquis is looking for the illusionist's bind again. Down but not out, and again he's able to use his strength and weight to his advantage, reversing the octopus attempt into a double chicken wing on the Marquis. Tiger suplex. No. A backflip from the Harlequin. He lands on his feet. Backstabber. No. The mammoth scouts the danger of that move, throwing himself forward to practically lawn dart the Marquis into the ropes. It is only the Harlequin's exceptional reflexes that allow him to catch the ropes and stop himself from going flying out the ring itself. For a second, he takes a minute to catch his breath as the mammoth does the same, favoring his injured arm. Their eyes meet. Marquis on the apron. The monster in the ring. There's a tension in the air. Who will make the first move? Who will attack first? The thought is flashing in both their eyes. Do I attack? Do I wait to trap him? Jessica Carr, this has been some high-paced back-and-forth action. Who will take the offensive now? Victoria Hill, my money is on my man, Mammoth. The Marquis does stuff with too much flourish. It's a matter of milliseconds before one of them moves, but in that single heartbeat, time stretches for eternity. The Marquis smirks and drops off the apron. Now outside the ring, he smiles mockingly at the monster, beckoning him to bring it. That does it. The mammoth charges. But as he steps over the top rope to punish the Marquis' insolence, the trap becomes perfectly clear. Slowed as he is trying to get over the ropes, the monster is unable to stop a dropkick that the Marquis delivers directly into his knee. The monster cries out, but that was only the setup. The punchline comes in the form of an arm wringer to the mammoth's injured limb before the Marquis jumps back off the apron, dropping the mammoth's shoulder first onto the edge of the ring. 1. The mammoth cries out in pain. He collapses into the barricade corner, clutching his wounded arm. The Marquis shows no hesitation, coming in with a running dropkick to the monster's shoulder. 2. He grabs the mammoth by the wrist, dragging him over to the ring steps, looking to slam his arm down onto the metal. No. Though it sends spears of agony shooting through his arm, the mammoth manages to stop the impact through sheer strength of his wounded arm alone. There's a struggle. The mammoth, one-handed, trying to push back against the Marquis, struggling against not only his power, but the burning agony throughout every nerve in his arm. But that's just it. It's like the monster said. He knows pain all too well. 3. The Marquis is suddenly yanked face-first into the ring post, his head bouncing off with a dull thunk. The Harlequin stumbles back, head in his hands, and completely helpless to stop what comes next, flying crossbody off the ring steps. The fans scream as what would normally be a basic move is turned into a devastating impact as almost 400 pounds go flying through the air to come crashing down on the Marquis. Yeah. You know exactly what they're chanting. 4. Momentum is fully behind the mammoth now. This next move will hurt his arm, but he can take it. He likes pain. Time for the Marquis to feel some. A double chicken wing applied. The fans are still chanting. Crowd, holy shit. Holy shit. Deadlift tiger suplex. Crowd, holy shit. Holy shit. Holy. 5. The back of the Marquis head smacks into the ring post with a sickening crack. The crowd falls silent. The Marquis slumps to the floor. Blood flows from the back of his neck. Horror is on the face of onlookers. The referee, the timekeeper, the commentary. Even Victoria looks stunned for a second. Jessica Carr, that wasn't supposed to happen, was it? Victoria Hill, unfortunately, yes. It was exactly what the monster had wanted. And he's not done. As the Marquis struggles to stand, to even move, the monster grabs him by the back of his neck with his good hand, pulling the Marquis to his feet. Then he smashes the Marquis' forehead into the metal post. Blood flows down the front of the Marquis' face, gruesomely mixing with the paint. A second impact. The fans have begun loudly booing the monster. Many in the front row look sickened at the display they are seeing. A third impact of the skull on steel. Each thump is rhythmic and unhurried. A deliberate message sent. Finally, he tosses the Marquis' lifeless carcass into the ring and slides in after him. Cover. It's over. 1, 2. The monster breaks his own pin. Shock runs through the crowd. The monster had the match won. Why would he? But then the monster looks at the Marquis arm. The same arm that the Marquis had targeted throughout the match. And the monster's intentions suddenly become horrifyingly clear. The boos from the fans are drowned out only by the Marquis screams as the monster grabs his fingers and twists them, bending them at a disgusting, unnatural angle. A livid referee starts the count immediately. 1, 2, 3, 4. Obligingly, the mammoth lets go on 4. Then stomps on the Marquis hand. Jessica Carr, oh my. Victoria Hill, gotta do what you can to hurt him. Another cry of pain. The Marquis is in full retreat. Trying to crawl away, trying to escape. Pain and fear carved into his eyes beneath the paint and the blood. But in a repeat of the start of the match, the monster has grabbed the Marquis by the tights, pulling him away from the ropes, preventing his escape. A desperate back kick catches the monster between the legs. Was that deliberate? Inadvertent? It doesn't matter, it's bought the Marquis some time. But it's an opening he may not be able to use. He's collapsed again. Lying, bleeding, on the mat even as the monster lies next to him, clutching his privates. The fans are fully in the Marquis corner now, cheering, urging him on. He's crawling to the corner, trying to use the ropes and the buckles to pull himself to his feet, even as the mammoth rises like something out of a slasher movie. A shoulder check drives the Marquis into the corner. The mammoth has him set up, looking for freaking you. But once again, the monster overestimated the health of his arm and underestimated the resilience of his opponent. Hanging armbar counter from the Marquis. Now it's the monster's turn to cry out in pain as his arm is hyperextended. Unfortunately, it doesn't last long. Upside down, with the blood rushing to his already severely injured head, the Marquis can't maintain his hold through the vertigo. He drops to the mat. The Marquis is on his hands and knees, head in his hands, trying to make the world stop spinning and his skull stop burning. A violent punt to his ribs sends him tumbling across the mat as the fans boo. The Marquis is lying on his back now. He can barely move. Only cry out as the monster begins walking on his arm. A jumping knee drop to the elbow. A second knee drop. A third. The Marquis is in so much pain he can't even cry out anymore. Or maybe it just can't be heard over the boos. Jessica Carr, Monster Mammoth, could be working toward finishing this match, but he seems intent on inflicting pain. Victoria Hill, my man knows what he's dining. Not like the mammoth cares. He grabs the Marquis fingers again, twisting and bending them. The Marquis futilely tries to fight back with kicks to the mammoth's back, but without any real leverage, and with barely any mustard behind the quicks, the mammoth doesn't even feel them. What he does feel, however, is those same legs wrapping around his neck and pulling him down into a head scissors. One that he escapes almost immediately. His sheer size again allowing him to overpower his wounded opponent and break free. Both of them are on their feet. The Marquis is trying to mount an offensive. Forearm. Forearm. He hits the ropes, but the pain through his head slows him down. Freak on a leash. The momentum is stopped instantly and the monster drags the Marquis' lifeless body to the corner and out the ring. With a sadistic smile, he smashes the Marquis hand into the ring post. 1. He lays the limb onto the top of the ring steps before climbing the steps himself, looking to stomp down on the Marquis hand. Stomp on the ring st no. The Marquis pulls his hand free at the last second. 2. Jumping Frankensteiner throws the mammoth off the ring steps. Once again, the sheer size of the mammoth turns what would have been a basic move into a titanic impact, but this time the monster's size has been used against him as the crowd cheers. 3. Both men lie on the outside mats. The mammoth stunned from the Rana, the Marquis, his body still ravaged from the monster's brutal assault. 4. You can see them struggling to pull themselves up. This might be the change in momentum that the Marquis needs. 5. But he can barely move. His head is aching, his limbs feel numb, he's losing too much blood and every move makes the world spin. 6. The monster has risen to his feet. Like an invincible titan, nothing seems to be keeping him down. 7. The monster rolls into the ring. The Marquis needs to get back in now. But he isn't moving. He's lying in a pool of his own blood on the outside mats. 8. A few signs of life. The fans are yelling at him, their voices piercing through the fog in his mind. Instinct or perhaps sheer will push him on. Push him to try and drag himself in the ring. 9. He tries to pull himself onto the apron. Into the ring. Pain flares, and he collapses to his knees. 10. A burst of adrenaline pushes him to throw himself into the ring a millisecond before the count ends. There's applause from the crowd. But now the Marquis is lying unmoving in the ring as the monster moves closer. The monster grabs the Marquis. And an elbow from the Marquis smacks into his jaw. The monster stumbles back from that shot. More surprised by the Marquis' ferocity in that shot than anything. The Marquis hits another elbow. A forearm. A spinning back fist. A kick to the knee. Putting every bit of strength he has left into this grand masquerade. There's one part left. One final move before the curtain call. Backstab. Too far. That familiar nausea, pain and dizziness flares up as the attempt at the backstabber pushes his body a step too far. And the monster is all too happy to take advantage. Spinning elb. No. The Marquis collapses to his knees and the blow misses. He's trying to get some distance again, rolling under the bottom rope, but the monster is relentless. Coming after the Marquis even as he tries to retreat. The Marquis suddenly yanks the monster's shoulder against the top rope. Jessica Carr, what a reversal. Victoria Hill, I'm almost tired from just watching this match. The monster roars. Stumbling back, again holding his arm. The Marquis has to use the ropes to pull himself to his feet. He braces himself on the apron. Trying to focus for what he's about to do. Springboard dropkick dash. No. The monster caught him out of the air. Wait. That arm lets the Marquis counter into a sunset flip. But he doesn't have the strength to pull the monster down onto his back. The monster grabs the Marquis by the neck in a double choke lift, pulling him to his feet. The Marquis breaks the monster's grip. Taking advantage of the wounded arm. Super kick. Right on the money. But even as he hits the move, the Marquis stumbles back, clutching his own head as every sudden move is a new torture. He has to focus. He has to stick to the plan. Illusionist's bind. No. He doesn't have nearly enough cognition for such a complex hold, and a basic fireman is all the monster needs to counter the attempt. Clothesline from the monster. It misses by a hair. The Marquis has the mammoth crossed up, in sheer desperation he tries for a back suplex. Not a chance. A mere twist of the mammoth's hips is all he needs to throw off the Marquis. With the Marquis on his back, the monster tries to stamp on his skull, but the Marquis just rolls out the way. He continues rolling, trying to retreat as the monster keeps trying to crush his face beneath his boot. He's at the ropes again. The monster grabs him by his hair, yanking to his feet. Immediately the referee gets between them, trying to make the monster let go. And that's all the diversion the Marquis needs to bite down on the monster's hand. The referee objects, but the Marquis doesn't care. Downward spiral drops the monster throat first on the top rope. Jessica Carr, the Marquis going for dinner here. Victoria Hill, I wouldn't mind dining on that beast FA man. The Marquis takes a deep breath. Wiping blood from his eyes. Fixing the monster with a cold stare. He hits the ropes, coming in with a running dropkick. He forces himself to his feet. Forces himself to keep going. Hit the ropes again. A second dropkick against the monster who has collapsed against the middle rope. One more. One more should do it. Just hit the ropes and. He took too long. Freak on Aaliyah. The Marquis counters by rolling the monster up into a half crab. The fans are on their feet at that counter. That was amazing. He's got the hold locked in tight. Middle of the ring. This could be the comeback of the century. It's even the leg he had drop-kicked earlier in the match. The monster grips his teeth, trying to crawl to the ropes, trying to reach out. Stretching, clawing. The Marquis legs buckle, and he collapses on the mat. The blood is spreading beneath him. He could only hold the move for so long. This entire match has been nothing but borrowed time ever since his head was smashed into the ring post. The referee is checking on him as the monster clutches his mangled leg on the mat. It's a miracle that the Marquis is even still conscious right now, even as every action feels like a war with himself. The mammoth rises. There's a cold expression on his face. He's done. He spent too much time playing with his food, gave this clown too many lucky shots. He's ending it. Now. He grabs the Marquis, looking for the freak seat. But, once again, that damned Kyle's arm. Arm drag counter from the Marquis. But he collapses. What the mammoth's arm is doing to him, the Marquis head is having the same effect on him. Preventing any real follow-up. Spinning elbow from the monster. The Marquis actually blocks it. A sound like a gunshot echoing off the impact point as both the Marquis hands take the impact of the monster's enormous elbow. That impact sends pain shooting up the Marquis' own tortured arm. He cries out, leaving himself vulnerable to be tossed over the monster's head with a belly-to-belly suplex. The Marquis frame actually bounces as he hits the mat. Rolling to the ropes, his instincts again telling him to retreat and regroup, but the monster grabs his wrist with his good hand, pulling him back towards danger. The Marquis tries to grab the top rope, tries to keep himself from being pulled into danger. But the sheer power of the mammoth is too much. The Marquis is ripped away from the ropes with such force that he's tossed into the air to counter whatever the monster was about to do with a flying DDT. The monster is down. This may be his shot. He crawls desperately across the ring, trying to get into the cover. 1, 2. The monster kicks out. Jessica Carr, the Marquis almost had it. Victoria Hill, yeah, but close doesn't cut it here. Despair. Absolute despair is on the face of the Marquis. All that, and only a 2 count? What in the hell is this thing? And no, he just hasn't used his best moves, that's all. He just needs something stronger. He takes a deep breath. This is his last chance. As the monster begins to rise, the Marquis tries to grab his wrist. Tries to get him into the illusionist's bind. No. He's rammed into the corner by the monster's sheer bulk. He ducks another spinning elbow. Rolling away. The fans see him fiddling with something in his glove. The monster comes in. Noble's decree, slap with a loaded glove. That slap is heard throughout the arena. The fans catch a glimpse of something red. The monster has his head in his hands and the Marquis grabs him from behind. Back suplex on the monster. The fans are in shock at that display of power. The Marquis is lying on his back. It took almost everything he had to lift the monster like that. He needs to get up. Needs to take advantage, too. The monster mammoth rises to his feet. And as he looks down at the Marquis, the fans watching know this match has ended. It had technically ended from that gruesome tiger suplex. The Marquis had been running on time granted by the monster's cruelty and arrogance. That time is now up. Blood flows down the monster's face. Visible under the gashed and torn mask that the Marquis Noble Decree had actually ripped open. Exposing one single, hate-filled eye that glares murderously upon his opponent. The Marquis tries to move. He can't. Choke slam. The body of the Marquis is picked up again with the mammoth's good hand. Choke slam. Again he's picked up. Again he's driven into the mat. Chokeslam after chokeslam until he goes limp upon the canvas. Cover. 1, 2, 3. Jessica Carr, Monster Mammoth just crushed the Marquis de Harlequin with those chokeslams. Victoria Hill, Brutal. The match is over. Ding. 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 Marcelo Sancho, here is your winner. The monster. Mammoth. Somehow, Marcelo manages to stay professional, even as the marquee lies bleeding and unmoving in the ring. Jessica Carr, we're going to cut to commercial here really quick. Victoria Hill, we probably should queue up some replays. 'Cause I want to see more. Earlwood, in your wallet. Jessica Carr, well, we may be in a small stadium tonight. But we've already seen a successful debut, a contract signing and a massacre in the ring. Victoria Hill, and we still get to see Murdoch wrestle tonight, as well as the elimination match to secure a shot at the new Tempest Championship. Jessica Carr, but first, let's go to the ring for newcomer Justin Wingate taking on Owen O'Rourke. Marcelo Sancho, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. Featuring first the challenger, hailing from Detroit, Michigan, he is the Extreme Classic Justin Wingate. The lights in the arena begin to flicker shades of blue and black, as one of One by T Grizzly hits the speakers. The camera pans in on the stage, as Justin Wingate steps out wearing his sleeveless, black hoodie attire. He spreads his arms wide, as he embraces the loud reception that he is receiving from the fans in attendance. As the announcer calls out his name, we can see Wingate giving every fan on the other side of the barricade a high five while making his way down the entrance ramp and towards the ring. Wingate slides under the bottom rope, then pops back up to his feet where he looks straight into the camera, and points his signature finger gun directly at it. He then blasts his finger gun with a smirk on his face, and finally falls back against the side ropes, as he waits for the arrival of his opponent. Jessica Carr, Justin looks like he's ready to take Owen to task tonight. Victoria Hill, I would hope so. If not, he'll be the extreme loser. Jessica Carr, would that make him the biggest loser and thus available for the prize money? Victoria Hill, this isn't the reality show called The Biggest Loser, Jessica. Jessica Carr, oh right. I did forget. Victoria Hill, don't let it happen again. Marcelo Sancho, and his opponent from Leitrim, Ireland, he is Owen O'Rourke. Lights dim in the arena as guitar riffs in the arena. Then as the music reaches a high point. Oh! A soul light shines on the stage with Owen O'Rourke standing on the stage with his eyes closed, arms stretched wide and hands open. It's a smoke and mirrors. It's a day in day out prison. You're living in, it's smothering the power in you. Owen opens his eyes and lowers his arms and begins marches down the ramp. When the world's out of control. And time is always racing. Everybody has a place where they can let it go. Owen makes it to ringside and he stands in front of the ring. He begins cracking his neck and hopping on the sides, then he dives into the ring and rolls to stand back up with his arms stretched again with a green spotlight over him. And fall into the feeling. Take a breath and never leave it. When the world is overwhelming. Just close your eyes, you'll find the strength to seize the day. Nothing standing in your way. Just fall into the feeling. Take a breath, it's time to let it go. It's time to let it go. Owen lowers his arms and walks around the ring, taking off his red glasses and jacket and readying for the match. Jessica Carr, is Owen going to wrestle this time or mess up another match? Victoria Hill, I think he's in the ring and ready to wrestle this time, no lightning glove in sight. Jessica Carr, that's a blessing right there. Victoria Hill, yes, a good match would be just what we needed. As the bell sounds to start the match, the Jumbotron lights up to reveal Gabriel Tuck. He smiles and waves at Owen O'Rourke. Gabriel Tuck, you've been underperforming of late, Owen. I'm afraid that if you can't defeat Justin Wingate that Armand is going to cancel our match and put you on the inactive list so you can take care of Elizabeth Devereux O'Rourke. Owen O'Rourke, I'll kick his ass and then I'll be backstage hunting you down. While Owen is standing on the bottom rope and yelling at the screen, Justin Wingate merely stands behind him as if waiting for him to turn around instead of attacking him from behind. He taps Owen on the shoulder and Owen spins around. Justin grabs him and hits a reverse cutter, also known as the classic ending. He drags Owen to the center of the ring and goes for the cover. Jessica Carr, oh goodness. Victoria Hill, this really it? Referee, Georgina Ross, gets into position to make the count. 1, 2, 3. Marcela Sancho, winner of the match via pinfall, the Extreme Classic Justin Wingate. Jessica Carr, this wasn't even a match. Victoria Hill, Owen spent his time focused on Gabriel and not enough time on Justin. Justin Wingate celebrates his win for a moment and heads to the back while Owen is slow to get back to his feet. He looks over at the image of Gabriel Tuck on the Jumbotron and rages. Owen O'Rourke, I'll get you for this. Gabriel Tuck, not for Shadow Warfare and not tonight. Keep in mind that I'm at Calgary right now and not backstage so I can get ready for my match with that firecracker, Abigail Dresden. The fans cheer at this and Owen kicks the bottom rope, whatever he has to say drowned out by the cheering crowd. Jessica Carr, well, Owen on the shelf for Shadow Warfare instead of getting a match. Victoria Hill, this match was shorter than the introductions. Jessica Carr, well, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Victoria Hill, always focus on your opponent. Jessica Carr, well, that was short, but our advertisers will be happy. We've got to go to another commercial, and when we get back, we'll see who will be facing Tetsuo Oni at Shadow Warfare for the Tempest Championship. Victoria Hill, the second match I've been waiting for tonight other than seeing Monster Mammoth in action. When we come back, Mad Morales, his stablemate will be securing his chance at a title belt. Core Inc. Pi Phone. All thinking differently. Together. Jessica Carr, welcome back, we're about to get on to our next match. As we're getting the three-way elimination match for a shot at Tetsuo Oni and the brand new Tempest Championship at Shadow Warfare's Vanguard pre-show. Victoria Hill, and Marcela is ready in the ring. Marcela Sancho, the following matchup is a triple threat, elimination rules match for the #1 contendership of the new 4 Wins Tempest Championship. The winner will face the Tempest champion, Tetsuo Oni during the Shadow Warfare Vanguard pre-show. Jessica Carr, here it goes. 3 lightweight competitors to fight it out for the contendership of the 4 Wins Tempest title. Victoria Hill, that's what Marcela just said, the people at home could hear her. Jessica Carr, hey. Just doing my job here. AC/DC Shoot to Thrill starts to play over the PA system as Lady Lana Hill and 2 of her bodyguards come out onto the stage. Victoria Hill, as much as I'd love to support my fellow Brit and a member of royalty, Lady Lana is my second favorite for tonight. Jessica Carr, who are you supporting tonight? Victoria Hill, Mad Morales, maybe if he wins, he'll introduce me to Monster Mammoth, if you know what I mean. Marcela Sancho, introducing first, from London, England, she comes in at 5 feet 7 inches and 135 lbs, this is Lady Lana Hill. Lana comes down to the ring and climbs in. She gets up onto the turnbuckle and plays up to the crowd as we wait for the next 2 competitors. King Scar by Scarlxert starts to play through the PA system, while a Team Viper logo comes up onto the screen. It soon transitions to the Daredevil Mad Morales. Marcela Sancho, and her first opponent, hailing from Norfolk, Virginia. He comes in at 5 feet 10 inches and 190 lbs, representing Team Viper, he is the Daredevil Mad Morales. The arena darkens as the lights switch to a strobing red. As all the lights start to merge into one as it slowly goes up the ramp, it shows Morales, hands crossed under his navel and his head down. As the song hits the 28-second mark, the lights strobe on beat, as Morales hits a new pose each time until jumping and landing at the final strobe at 37 seconds. He then vibes out to the song, moving with a bounce on beat, rocking out with fans who join into his grunge aesthetic, jeering and taunting fans who boo or show dissatisfaction to his antics. He pauses at the ring and leaps and slides horizontal under the ring before kipping up with his index fingers pointed like horns on his head, holding the stance for a few seconds before climbing the opposite turnbuckle and pointing one finger like a horn on his head and one into the sky. Jessica Carr, Team Viper, sending out a member to try to secure their first title since coming to the CWF. Victoria Hill, and the man who needs to go against Tetsuo Oni in my book. Marcela Sancho, and our final competitor. Coming in at 5 feet 9 inches and 140 pounds. She hails from Grand Junction, Colorado, this is Wicked Cat Hale. The lights begin flashing green, blue, and red as the initial jingle of the entrance song starts. Cat delays hitting the stage for those initial 7 seconds. She comes out wearing a black leather jacket that stops at her midriff, and she comes out with high energy. throwing up the rock and roll devil horns a few times, before moving to either side of the stage to engage with the crowd, pointing towards them and then starting to make her way down to the ring. She'll continue interacting with fans near the ramp, high-fiving and occasionally pausing to throw up devil horns with other members of the audience. She makes her way to the south side of the ring, jumps onto the apron, and throws her hands out to either side to pose for the audience. Then, slipping under the middle rope, moves to the opposite end of the ring. Climbing onto the middle rope of the turnbuckle, she'll rock up and down with her head down, covering the top rope until rising and flipping her hair back over her shoulders and pose with her arms spread once again, pointing to members of the audience. At last, she'll step down and strip off her jacket, readying herself for the match. As she was the last one out, she goes to the corner and hops up to sit down. Jessica Carr, I have to say, Kat Hale looks ready for tonight's match. She looks full of confidence. Victoria Hill, well, she's not got my vote. She's not British or part of Team Viper. Marcela Sancho, your referee for this match, Ashley Beaton. Beaton signals for the bell to get this match started. Ding! Ding! Quickly Morales hits the ropes and comes off. He's heading right for Lana, who ducks under what becomes a fake lariat attempt. Morales hits the ropes for a slingshot, comes off with an attempt at a moonsault, but gets caught by a diving missile dropkick from the turnbuckle by Kat Hale. Jessica Carr and Hale stops Mad Morales mid-move. Morales lands into the ropes and then falls out of the ring with the impact of the drop kick. Hale comes up to her feet right next to Lana. Hale motions to Lana and herself and then points at Morales, who is starting to climb back into the ring. Victoria Hill, I don't like the look of this. Jessica Carl, I do. Looks like the ladies are going to team up to take out the man, and then figure it out between them. As Morales tries to get into the ring, both women grab him on each side and start to deliver punches and slaps to him. Morales starts to try to fend them both off quickly. He delivers an uppercut to Lana, and then a back elbow to Hale. He then grabs Hale by the arm and whips her hard into a corner turnbuckle, and turns back to Lana. Victoria Hill, come on Morales. Morales pulls Lana into a couple of knee strikes to her head, then spins back to give her an elbow that sends her into the opposite corner from Hale. He finishes it off with a jumping high knee that snaps her head back. Victoria Hill, that's how you do it. Jessica Carr, that looked to have rocked Lana's world a bit. Hale launches herself out of the corner. She rushes over and grabs Morales with a double chicken wing. She pulls him up and over into a Tiger Suplex 85, and tries to bridge for a pinfall. Jessica Carr, but a Tiger Suplex from Kat Hale, can she put him away? Ashley Beaton slides in for the attempted pin. 1. 2. Morales kicks out. Victoria Hill, yes. He kicked out. Lana recovers and breaks into a run. As Morales comes to his feet, she catches him with a spear to his midsection. As he stumbles back, Kat Hale tries to roll him up for a schoolboy. Jessica Carr, another pin attempt. 1. 2. Again, Morales kicks out. Victoria Hill, why are they teaming up against him? This is supposed to be every man for himself. As Morales rolls to his knees, Lana comes off the ropes and hits him with a V-trigger knee to the back of his head. Jessica Carr, well, the man is for himself there. Lana tries to get Morales ready for a pin, but he pulls her into a small package. 1. Kat Hale hits the ropes next to them and springboards off. 2. Hale hits a moonsault on top of both of them to break up the pinfall. Victoria Hill, almost a surprise elimination there. Not seen a small package score a pinfall in a long time. As everyone is down, Morales rolls out of the ring and looks to be taking a walkabout to recover. Hale and Lana both come up about the same time, and both look around for Morales. Lana sees him first and runs for the ropes. He dives over in a tope suicida, but Morales saw her coming. He half catches her and redirects her to the guardrail, where she hits hard right next to the timekeeper. Victoria Hill, that's how you do it. Hale slips out or the ropes to the apron, and then comes off. She catches Morales into a Hurricane Rana, but he grabs her legs and blocks it, turning her around to plant her onto the ring steps with what could only be called a powerbomb. Jessica Carr and one around the ring walkabout, and Mad Morales now has the upper hand. Hale rolls off the ring steps, holding her back after the impact. Morales catches Lady Lana as she comes to her feet, and he whips her back to the apron, where she slips back up into the ring. He follows closely behind her and gets back into the ring. Victoria Hill, all right, finish her off. Lana suddenly bursts to the ropes and comes off with a super kick that staggers Morales. She hits the ropes again, and this time catches him with a belly-to-back suplex. Once he's down, she gets up and signals to the crowd as she heads for a corner, and climbs up to the top rope. Jessica Carr, Lady Lana showing a bit of fire now. Anyone check on Kat Hale? Victoria Hill, looks like the doc is checking on her. A quick shot of the ringside doc checking on Kat Hale is shown, who is shaking her head no for some reason. Victoria Hill, she going to give up and just get out? She landed on that ring step pretty hard. Jessica Carr, well, looks like Lady Lana is about to go flying. Lana gets up onto the turnbuckle and turns to look towards Morales. Morales suddenly kips up to his feet and rushes at her. He uses both hands to hit her legs and drops her to straddle the top turnbuckle. It looks like Lana hit pretty hard on that fall. Victoria Hill, well, that'll adjust your spine and everything down below. Morales walks away from the corner and shakes his head. He gets into position and gives his two-horn signal before running up towards Lana. He hops up to the ropes next to her, grabs her head and takes her over into a Spanish fly move. Morales tries for a pinfall on the landing. Jessica Carr, what a move! 1, 2. Lana gets a foot on the ropes. Morales gets up off the pin and shakes his head when he sees her foot on the ropes. Victoria Hill, so close. Morales pulls Lana up by her hair, and takes a quick look at the doc checking on Kat Hale. Jessica Carr, I think Morales is looking at finishing this match off pretty soon. Suddenly, Lana spins Morales around, and hooks him for an inverted exploder suplex. As she takes him over, he kicks the ropes, adding some rotation and comes out on his feet. Jessica Carr and Mad Morales blocks the inverted exploder. As Lana rolls to come up, he hits her with a basement drop kick, and pops back up, hits the ropes and comes off for a punt kick. But Lana dodges the finishing part of the Apollyon kick. She grabs his leg as she stands up. She smiles and plays up a bit, looking to be trying for a dragon screw leg whip, but before she hits it, he turns it into an enziguri that staggers Lana a bit. Victoria Hill, Mad Morales is on fire right now. Jessica Carr, he wants that shot at the Tempest Championship. Morales grabs Lana and moves her into a pump handle position, flips Lana over and hits her with a GTS. She falls like a sack of potatoes, and Morales goes for the pinfall. Victoria Hill, re-drum. Hit the re-drum. Jessica Carr, that's so original a name for a move. Ashley Beaton slides into place for the count. 1, 2. Kat Hale comes off the ropes with a wicked salt landing across Morales' back. Jessica Carr, Kat Hale stops the pinfall. She's back in the match. As she comes off him, Morales rolls out of the way, holding his back. Hale then drops down, hooking Lana's leg and tries to steal the pinfall. Beaton is still in place. Victoria Hill and Kat Hale is going to steal that pinfall now. Looks like the truce is done. 1, 2, 3. Jessica Carr and Lady Lana has been eliminated. Marcela Sancho, Lady Lana Hill has been eliminated. The match is now down to just Kat Hale and Mad Morales. Victoria Hill, well, that means Mad Morales will be winning. Jessica Carr, why do you say that? Victoria Hill, because Hale got the first pinfall in a three-way elimination. They never get the second pinfall. Hale helps roll Lana out of the ring. When she stands and turns around, she eats a jumping bicycle high knee that sends her back to the ropes. As she stumbles a bit forward, for Morales to grab her and whips her to the ropes. Victoria Hill, and here it comes. I can just hear Tommy Onions screaming if Mad Morales wins the chance to take the Tempest title and be the first Viper Squad member to secure a title. Morales waits for Hale to bounce off the ropes and then goes the other way. He springboards off and catches her for what looks like a moonsault into a tornado DDT, but when Hale is bent down in the DDT, she somehow manages to over-rotate with it, popping out of the DDT, and hitting a somersault leg drop on Morales in the aftermath. Jessica Carr, she stopped the move he calls Morales Inferno. She's not out of it yet. Victoria Hill, that was actually pretty good. Hale kips up to her feet, and gets ready. When Morales comes up, she moves in to grab him, but he pushes her away. He swings wildly, and she ducks under, and hooks his arm over her neck, then lifts him up into a blue thunder bomb. She goes for a quick pin, and Ashley Beaton is right there. 1. 2. Morales kicks out. Jessica Carr, that was close. Victoria Hill, come on Daredevil, fly. Fly. Both scramble to their feet. Morales grabs Hale first, and whips her to the ropes. He hooks her arm as she's coming off, and tries to get her into a crucifix driver, but she falls to her knees instead of letting him take her over. Morales falls to the mat, and Hale is quick to scramble up to her feet. She pulls his head back and hooks it into an inverted facelock. Jessica Carr, is she? She snapes Morales over with her wicked rhythm move. She doesn't go for the pin right away, instead rolling with the move to keep it held on. Victoria Hill, what is she doing? She sets up again, as Morales realizes he's near the ropes and tries to interlock his legs up in with them. She pulls up her other arm and delivers a couple of elbows to his chest, and then snaps over for another wicked rhythm, this one due to his legs being in the ropes, plants him almost vertical. This time she goes for a pinfall. 1. 2. 3. Morales gets his shoulder up just too late. Jessica Carr, she did it. Marcela Sancho, and the winner of this match, and the #1 contender for the 4 Wins Tempest Championship, confirmed to be facing Tetsuo Oni on the Shadow Warfare Vanguard pre-show. Wicked Cat Hale. As Nightwish Snemo starts to play, and the referee raises Cat Hale's arm up in victory, someone walks out on the stage area of the ramp. Jessica Carr, wait, who is that? Victoria Hill, I think that's Morgan Decker, Cat Hale's old manager. It is indeed her old manager, Morgan Decker, who is clapping his hands and looking snug and confident. He motions to the ring, and back at himself. Jessica Carr, what's he doing out here? Victoria Hill, I'm not sure, but he's playing off like he just led his charge to a hard-earned victory. As Decker puts a fist up into the air, and motions to Hale again, she finally notices the person up on the stage. She shakes her head and starts to say something to the man that the microphone isn't picking up. Jessica Carr, I'm not sure she's happy he's out here. Victoria Hill, why wouldn't she be? Suddenly Hale's theme stops, almost as if a record scratched. It then picks up with the opening guitars for Lacuna Coil's Reckless. Victoria Hill, and what's this? A few seconds later, the 4WW Tempest champion, Tetsuo Oni, comes out from the back. She's wearing her 1/3 of the 4WW Legion championships, and carrying the 4WW Tempest title over her shoulder. She's not wearing her matching wrestling robe, but is geared up otherwise for a fight. Jessica Carr, it's Tetsuo Oni, the 4TH, the Tempest champion. She marches down to the ring, and heads right up the stairs. She climbs in between the ring ropes and comes up to Cat Hale in the middle of the ring. Victoria Hill, the Tempest champion, in the ring to look her challenger in the eyes before Shadow Warfare. Jessica Carr, the question would be, will Wicked Cat Hale go to her old wicked ways? Her old manager is out here right now on the stage. Tetsuo Oni approaches Cat Hale, who watches her, looking coiled up and ready to strike if she needs to. Oni raises up the Tempest Championship with her left hand, and then extends her right hand to shake Hale's hand. Victoria Hill, don't do it. Okay, do it. One of them is going to jump the other. Jessica Carr, don't just say that. This might be a show of respect. Victoria Hill, Black. No place in wrestling for respect. I mean, what would happen if everyone respected each other? Jessica Carr, it would actually become a competition. Oni seems to say a few words to Hale, who then reluctantly takes her hand and they shake in the middle of the ring. Jessica Carr, see, some respect in this world. Victoria Hill, that just makes me sick. Jessica Carr, well, while you get sick. We have Kat Hale about to take on Tetsuo Oni at Shadow Warfare's Vanguard pre-show. For the 4 Wins Wrestling Tempest Championship. Victoria Hill, and what will Morgan Decker have to do with this? Are he and Kat Hale going to have a return to their old partnership? Jessica Carr, I guess we'll find out. Meantime, let's go to commercial. When we come back, our main event. The Bastards. Utter Brush It. Utter Brush It beer. Your life is empty, our bottles aren't. The show comes back, once again on the announcer's table. Jessica Carr, welcome back. We're steaming right along here in McLeod, as we head to our main event. Victoria Hill, yes, as we'll see if Kara Reinhardt is in any condition to wrestle at Shadow Warfare. Will she be able to fight to defend her CWF Tag Team and 4 WW Dyad titles? Jessica Carr, and if she can, which member of Bad Company will be teaming with her to defend them? They've now been told they can use the Freebird rule to defend. If she can't make it, does that mean she'll be on the shelf and it'll be Greg Salazar and her brother, the CWF Conquest champion Cronin Reinhardt, defending them, as well as their other matches? Victoria Hill, well in that case, I hope this is the end of the show and Kara Reinhardt doesn't even come out here tonight. The Bastards will have it easy at Shadow Warfare then. Jessica Carr, well I guess I should have expected that. Marcela Sancho, ladies and gentlemen, the next match is the Vanguard main event of the evening and it is set for one fall. Introducing first, he hails from Dallas, Texas. Standing 6 feet, 5 inches tall and weighing in at 220 pounds. He is the wrestling machine, Steve Murdoch. Darkness covers the arena as the first few seconds of the final countdown play, when the drum beat hits, and the vocals begin with "We're Living Together," the crowd joins in, and the lights come up as we see Steve Murdoch standing at the entrance ramp, kneeling, head down and both fists on the ground. He punches the ramp with his right hand, stands up and makes his way to the ring. Jessica Carr, and here we are at the main event, folks. Erica Costa Alvarez is in the ring with Marcela Sancho as we watch Steve Murdoch come down to the ring for what promises to be an intriguing matchup. Victoria Hill, well, Murdoch seems popular with the crowd, but I've never been a fan of Texans. Too much bravado with too little to back it up, if you ask me. Jessica Carr, you're really going to insult a whole state? You realize we will likely do shows there. Victoria Hill, I've been to Texas, if we do have shows there, when we come into town you'll see I was right. Now, on to Steve Murdoch. I have to say, there is a popular opinion that hardcore-themed wrestlers do so because they are lacking in real wrestling ability. But both Valora Salinas and Steve Murdoch have done much to disprove that notion and both deserve credit for it. While I will be backing my fellow European tonight, Steve Murdoch is definitely capable of giving her a fight and will need to be taken seriously. Marcela Sancho, and introducing his opponent. She hails from Dresden, Germany. She stands 6 feet tall and weighs in at 205 pounds. She is a member of Bad Company and one half of the CWF Tag Team Champions. Kara Reinhardt. The lights dim and It Will by Rammstein plays over the PA as Kara makes her way out from the backstage area, pausing at the top of the entryway as she looks down at the ring. She makes her way to the ring with a slow, methodical pace and climbs into the ring, climbing between the ropes and making her way to her corner where she holds up a hand and then begins warming up, throwing a few warm-up punches in her corner. Jessica Carr, and here comes Kara Reinhardt, also popular with the crowd. She has shown in every match she's been in that she is a skilled fighter, but has, thus far, been unable to shake the perception of needing her brother to carry her and being unable to win in a singles match setting. Victoria Hill, well, as I said, I'm backing my fellow European here tonight. She has been in a foul mood since her match with Rob Riot. This led her into some intense focus and determination here. She has said she plans to make a statement in this match tonight and now, the time for talking is over and the time to begin punching is now. Erica Costa Alvarez explains the instructions for the match to the fighters while Marcela Sancho climbs out of the ring. As she finishes, both fighters move over to their corners and Erica Costa Alvarez calls for the bell. Ding! Ding! Both fighters come into the ring and circle each other. Finally, Steve Murdoch throws a punch, Kara catches the punch and brings Steve Murdoch to the mat with a hip toss, as she then seamlessly transitions into lock, putting pressure on the arm and shoulder. After a few seconds, she kicks Steve Murdoch in the exposed ribcage of Steve Murdoch. Steve gets to his feet and fires a couple of punches into Kara's gut and is hit with a right cross to the side of the head, sending him back to a knee. Kara grabs Steve Murdoch and plants him with a DDT. Jessica Carr, Kara wasting little time as she catches the punch and brings him to the mat with a hip toss. She begins softening up the arm and shoulder of Murdoch before planting him with a DDT. Victoria Hill, a good start to be sure, but we'll need to keep the pressure on. Kara pulls Steve Murdoch to his feet and whips him into the ropes. As he rebounds off the ropes, Kara ducks for a backdrop, but ducks too early, telegraphing it, and Steve Murdoch jumps over her. He rebounds off the ropes on the other side and comes back towards Kara, who catches him and tries for a belly-to-belly suplex, but Steve Murdoch blocks it and tries to lift Kara up for a vertical suplex. Kara blocks this as well and transitions the hold to try for a German suplex, but, once more, Steve blocks this. He tries to bring Kara over and to the mat, but she blocks this and he tries for a stunner-like move and Kara bounces up, grabbing the ropes to keep herself on her feet. This turns out to be a mistake on the rookie's part as Steve Murdoch is there and traps her arms before slamming his head repeatedly into Kara's chest and then plants her with a belly-to-belly suplex. Jessica Carr, well, there was a rookie mistake there. We saw an amazing move-counter move demonstration of technical wrestling, but Steve Murdoch hit a stunner-style move. Kara grabbed the rope to keep herself up, but that turned out to be a mistake. Victoria Hill, oh yes, and I'm sure the cretin had no ulterior motive to slam his head into her impressive pectoral region. Jessica Carr, can't you just say breasts? Victoria Hill, no. Because I have a degree of class. Steve Murdoch steps through the ropes and slingshots himself over the ropes and lands shoulder first into the abdominal region as he rolls over and comes to his feet. He then moves over to her and locks in a dragon sleeper. Kara tries to fight it off, but he cinches it in and Erica Costa Alvarez moves to check for a submission. Erica Costa Alvarez, what do you say, Reinhardt? Do you give up? Kara responds by holding up her free arm and giving the middle finger to where she thinks or hopes Erica Costa Alvarez is. Jessica Carr, well, I suppose that's one way to make it clear you're not giving up. Still, Kara and Cronin are well versed in sleeper holds, she has to know her time is limited to find a way out. Victoria Hill, I am sure she knows that and will find a way to do so. As you said, the Reinhardts are very skilled at sleeper holds. As the struggle continues, Kara is able to just get a foot on the ropes. Erica Costa Alvarez sees this and calls for a break and Steve Murdoch breaks the hold. Jessica Carr, looks like you were right, Vicky. Kara gets a foot on the ropes and gets the rope break. Victoria Hill, it's Victoria. Also, some good ring sense on Kara's part to find the rope, that is harder to do than you might think when your body is running low on oxygen. Steve Murdoch gets to his feet, shaking his head as he pulls Kara to her feet. Kara hits Steve with 2 punches to the gut and then a jawbreaker and then brings Steve Murdoch to the mat with a belly-to-belly suplex. He moves right into a cover and Erica Costa Alvarez drops down and begins counting. 1. 2. Kara kicks out. Jessica Carr, Kara kicks out from the pinfall attempt there. Steve will have to do some more work to wear her down. Victoria Hill, so far these two have been pretty evenly matched. Hopefully one of the fighters can get the upper hand and win the match before the time limit draw. Steve Murdoch gets up and checks with Erica Costa Alvarez to find out how much time is left in the match. Erica Costa Alvarez checks with the timekeeper who holds up 5 fingers. Jessica Carr, looks like 5 minutes until the match ends. Victoria Hill, more than enough time for one of these fighters can get things going their way. While the conversation between Murdoch and Erica Costa Alvarez goes on, Kara gets to her feet and turns him around to face her. She hits him with a series of 3 European uppercuts and then spins around and hits him with a discus clothesline. Kara runs and rebounds off the ropes and, just as Steve Murdoch gets to his feet, she hits him with a spear, but Steve Murdoch turns the spear into a DDT2 resulting in both fighters being down for a bit, Kara getting to a knee and shaking her head as Steve remains prone for the moment. Jessica Carr, Kara comes out firing with a flurry of European uppercuts and then a discus clothesline. She hits a spear but it looks like Steve Murdoch tried to hit a bit of a DDT as well. Victoria Hill, mixed success, I would say. Kara seems a bit dazed, but I believe Steve Murdoch took most of the punishment there. Steve Murdoch gets to his feet, unaware of Kara as she stands behind him, measuring him. Eventually, he turns to look for her and walks right into Kara's version of the rock bottom. The crowd cheers loudly as Kara goes into the cover but then stops herself and gets back up to her feet, shaking her head. Jessica Carr, this is bizarre. Kara could have the match won. What the hell is she thinking? Victoria Hill, she's thinking what she told us she's thinking. She wants to make a statement. Steve Murdoch just might be the unfortunate canvas used to deliver that statement. Kara pulls Steve Murdoch to his feet and whips him into the ropes. Kara watches as he rebounds off the ropes, timing her move over and picks him up, turns him and drives him headfirst into the mat with her version of the Michinoku driver. Jessica Carr, dressed-in driver. Victoria Hill, that should be the match done and dusted. Erica Costa Alvarez drops down and makes the count as Kara remains in a sitting position and grabs a leg of Steve Murdoch and turns her move into a pinning situation. 1, 2, 3. Ding! Ding! Jessica Carr, and right you are, Victoria, the Dresden driver plant Steve Murdoch and Kara Reinhardt has picked up her first singles win in the CWF. Victoria Hill, well I have to say, taking the time to hit that extra move to make sure her opponent stays down appears to have paid dividends here. Kara gets to her feet as the crowd cheers for a good match. As Steve Murdoch gets to his feet, the two fighters exchange a few brief words and a handshake before Kara climbs out of the ring and begins making her way to the backstage area. Jessica Carr, well, a show of sportsmanship after what was a great match between these two. Tonight, Kara came out on top but it easily could have gone Steve Murdoch's way. Victoria Hill, yes, but for tonight, it's Europe 1, Texas 0. Huzzah! Kara Reinhardt climbs out of the ring and starts to head to the back. Steve Murdoch takes a moment, when suddenly something enters the ring from the other side. Jessica Carr, that's Monster Mammoth. Victoria Hill, you sure? Jessica Carr, look at how big he is. It has to be. The camera reveals it is, indeed, Monster Mammoth. He gets to his feet and gets ready. Victoria Hill, yes it is, what's he have? Jessica Carr, I think that's Steve Murdoch's old barbed wire wrapped kendo stick. Victoria Hill, yes. Hearing the commotion in the ring, Murdoch turns around to get blasted right in the forehead with his old weapon. He drops to the mat and covers his face with his arms as Monster Mammoth then starts to lay into him with the kendo stick. The barbed wire looks to start to cut up Murdoch's arms, which he quickly rolls over and lets his back take some hits as well. After a few more hits, Monster Mammoth heads to the ropes and demands a microphone from one of the stagehands, and gets it. Monster Mammoth, is this what you people want? You're asking for this across the world and you're begging for it, huh? For Steve Murdoch, the loser of the last and best hardcore match in this company's worthless history. For Steve Murdoch, who I put through the flames of hell when I drove him into that truck's bed. He is nothing, and I am the future. I am the peak of freak and I will not be denied. If Steve Murdoch can't stand now, how can he even hope to last 30 minutes in this ring with me? This Iron Man needs an oil change. As Mammoth is speaking, Steve slowly makes his way to the bottom rope, clinging to it for dear life. Monster Mammoth, let's hear what's going on in Steve's head. Jessica Carr, someone get this man out of here. He should be suspended. Victoria Hill, why? It's hot. Monster concludes his attack by bashing the microphone into Steve's temple, rolling out of the ring and making his way to the back. Jessica Carr, where is security? Victoria Hill, Mammoth still has the kendo stick. They don't want none of him. But before he gets to the entrance, Steve picks up the microphone, and between ragged breaths speaks. Steve Murdoch, you didn't read the contract all that well, did you, Mammoth? Because if you did, you'd understand why I'm smiling, even right now, even after that beating. He slowly climbs up the ropes to lean against the top ropes, blood streaming down his face, but a wide, bright smile on his face. Steve Murdoch, at Shadow Warfare, it's not an Iron Man match that I'm going to end you in, it's an exploding barbed wire death match. That's right, the hardcore icon is back, and Mammoth, your days are numbered. Victoria Hill, wait, what? Jessica Carr, he just said the contract was for what? Victoria Hill, rewind, rewind. Monster Mammoth starts to point towards the ring and shakes his head. stomping the ground with anger at the idea of such a match blindsiding him. He continues to rampage before he starts heading to the back, where the camera follows a short trail of overturned trash cans, broken tables, and a couple of laid-out jobbers. Jessica Carr, we've reheard what Murdoch just said, we're getting an exploding barbed wire deathmatch at Shadow Warfare between Monster Mammoth and the hardcore icon Steve Murdoch. Victoria Hill, what is he thinking? Does Murdoch want to go out in a blaze of glory or something? He just lost to Kara Reinhardt. Does he think he's going to do anything to Monster Mammoth in such a matchup? Jessica Carr, who knows? What I do know is this, we're out of time. And that in a couple of days, we'll have Warzone from the Scotiabank Arena, in Calgary, Alberta, and you should not miss it. So if you've not already, both, #join the conquest.